What if I told you Jay Leno owns a 13-ton steam-powered monster that almost killed him? You think you know Jay Leno's Garage, but these 15 trucks will blow your mind. Everyone knows Jay Leno loves cars. With over 180 vehicles worth more than $50 million, his Burbank garage is basically automotive heaven. But here's what most people don't know. Hidden away in the corners of his massive 140,000 square foot big dog garage are some of the most bizarre, dangerous, and downright weird trucks ever built. We're talking about vehicles that breathe fire, trucks that run on steam, and machines so strange they look like they came from another planet. These aren't your typical pickup trucks or delivery vans. These are the vehicles that even Jay himself admits are too crazy to drive regularly. Today, we're diving deep into the dark corners of Leno's collection to uncover the 15 most bizarre trucks that he owns, but rarely shows off to the public. Let's start with the absolute king of bizarre, the 1906 Advanced Steam Traction Engine. This isn't just weird, it's a 13-ton rolling steam locomotive that looks like someone took a train and slapped giant wheels on it. Picture this massive cylindrical beast, shaped exactly like a train engine, huffing and puffing down the street with Jay at the controls. This thing is so heavy it could probably crush a modern car just by rolling over it. The engine burns coal, or wood, to create steam, and the whole contraption weighs more than 3 elephants combined. Jay calls it the biggest, heaviest, and probably the weirdest vehicle in his entire garage, and that's saying something when you own hundreds of cars. But here's where it gets really wild. This steam monster almost became Jay's final ride. Steam engines are incredibly dangerous because they're basically rolling bombs. The pressure inside these boilers can reach deadly levels, and if something goes wrong, the whole thing can explode like a massive grenade. Jay learned this the hard way when he was working on one of his steam vehicles and nearly got himself killed. The pressure gauge malfunctioned, and suddenly, he was staring down a machine that could have blown him to pieces. That's why you rarely see these steam trucks on his show. They're not just bizarre, they're legitimately terrifying. Next up is his 1941 American LaFrance fire truck, and this baby has some serious history. This wasn't just any fire truck. It was the first fire engine ever tested in a wind tunnel. Back in 1941, this was cutting-edge technology. The engineers hid all the hoses and ladders inside the truck to make it more aerodynamic, which was revolutionary for its time. Jay's version is fully functional, complete with all the original firefighting equipment. The truck towers over everything else in his garage, and when he fires it up, it sounds like a dragon waking up from a deep sleep. Here's what makes this truck extra special. Jay actually used it during the recent Los Angeles wildfires. While most celebrities were posting thoughts and prayers on social media, Jay loaded up his vintage fire truck with food and supplies and drove it straight to the front lines to feed firefighters. Imagine being a first responder and seeing Jay Leno roll up in an 80-year-old fire truck to bring you lunch. That's the kind of guy who doesn't just collect trucks. He actually uses them when it matters. But wait, there's more steam-powered madness in his collection. Jay owns multiple steam fire engines, including a 1914 model that looks like something out of a steampunk nightmare. These machines are so rare that finding parts for them is like searching for unicorns. When something breaks, Jay's team has to either fabricate parts from scratch or hunt down antique dealers who might have original components from over a century ago. The boilers alone cost more than most people's cars to rebuild, and the process takes months of careful work by specialized craftsmen. The real problem with these steam trucks isn't just their age, it's their complexity. Modern mechanics can work on almost any car, but steam engines require a completely different skill set. You need to understand pressure systems, boiler maintenance, and safety protocols that most people have never even heard of. Jay employs a full-time team of specialists just to keep these steam monsters running, and even then, they're constantly breaking down. Then there's his collection of early electric trucks that make Tesla look like child's play. We're talking about vehicles from the early 1900s that were running on electricity when most people still thought cars were a passing fad. One of his prized possessions is a 1909 Baker electric truck. This thing looks like a horse-drawn carriage that someone stuck a motor into, but it was actually ahead of its time. Back in 1909, electric vehicles were considered the future of transportation. They were quiet, clean, and didn't require the dangerous hand cranking that gas engines needed. The bizarre thing about these early electric trucks is that they solved problems we're still dealing with today. Range anxiety. They had it figured out with battery swapping stations. Charging infrastructure. Major cities had networks of charging points. These trucks were so advanced that some could travel over 100 miles on a single charge, which is impressive even by today's standards. But then gas became cheap and electric vehicles disappeared for nearly a century. Jay's collection includes some of the last survivors of this forgotten era of transportation. Moving into the really weird territory, Jay owns what he calls experimental nightmares, trucks that were so bizarre they never made it to production. One of his strangest acquisitions is a prototype delivery truck from the 1950s that was designed to run on compressed air. Yes, you heard that right, compressed air. The engineers thought they could create a pollution-free truck that would revolutionize city deliveries. The truck worked, sort of, but it was so impractical that the project was abandoned after just a few test models were built. Jay's truck is one of only 3 known to exist. The compressed air system is fascinating and terrifying at the same time. Instead of burning fuel, the truck uses massive pressurized air tanks that power pneumatic motors. When you press the gas pedal, you're literally releasing air pressure to move the wheels. The problem is that the air tanks are under enormous pressure, and if one fails, it's like a bomb going off. Plus, the truck can only go about 30 miles before it needs to be recharged with compressed air, making it about as practical as a solar-powered flashlight. Jay also owns a collection of military trucks that were too weird for warfare. One of his most bizarre acquisitions is a World War II-era truck that was designed to lay smoke screens. This thing looks like a normal military transport truck, but hidden in the back is a chemical system that can create massive clouds of smoke to hide troop movements. The truck carries tanks of special chemicals that, when mixed and heated, create an impenetrable wall of smoke that can cover entire city blocks. The smoke screen truck represents one of the strangest chapters in military vehicle development. Engineers were tasked with creating trucks that could instantly disappear entire convoys, and they came up with these rolling fog machines. The chemical system is so complex that even Jay's expert mechanics are afraid to touch it. The tanks still contain residue from the original chemicals, and nobody knows exactly what's in there or how dangerous it might be after sitting for 80 years. But perhaps the most bizarre truck in Jay's collection is his jet-powered prototype from the 1960s. This isn't just a truck with a jet engine bolted on. It's a specially designed vehicle that was supposed to revolutionize long-distance trucking. The engineers thought they could create a truck that would cruise at highway speeds using jet propulsion, making it faster and more efficient than traditional diesel engines. The prototype they built looks like a regular truck from the front, but the back end is pure science fiction. The jet engine sits where the trailer would normally attach, and when it fires up, it sounds like a fighter plane taking off. The exhaust temperature is hot enough to melt steel, and the noise is so loud it can be heard from miles away. Jay has fired it up exactly twice since he bought it, and both times he was convinced it was going to explode. The fuel consumption is so extreme that it burns through a tank of jet fuel in about 20 minutes, making it possibly the most impractical vehicle ever created. Here's the thing about Jay's bizarre truck collection. These aren't just museum pieces sitting under dust covers. Jay actually drives these things, which is both impressive and slightly insane. He's taken the steam traction engine on public roads, driven the fire truck to actual emergencies, and even started up the jet-powered prototype, just to see if it still works. Most collectors would never risk damaging such rare vehicles, but Jay believes that machines are meant to be used, not just admired. The maintenance costs alone are staggering. Jay employs a full-time team of 15 mechanics and restoration specialists just to keep his collection running. For the bizarre trucks, he often has to hire outside experts or even track down the original designers if they're still alive. The steam engines require constant attention because the boilers can corrode if they're not properly maintained. The early electric trucks need battery systems that don't exist anymore, so Jay's team has to build custom battery packs using modern technology. The real challenge isn't just keeping these trucks running, it's keeping them safe. Many of these vehicles were built before modern safety standards existed. The steam engines have no safety shutoffs, The electric trucks have exposed high-voltage systems, and the compressed air truck is essentially a rolling pressure bomb. Jay's team has to constantly modify these vehicles to make them safe enough to drive, while still maintaining their historical accuracy. Insurance companies won't even touch most of these trucks. Jay has to use specialized collector's insurance that costs more per year than most people spend on their entire car. The jet-powered truck is completely uninsurable because no insurance company wants to deal with the liability of someone driving a vehicle with a jet engine on public roads. If something goes wrong, the damage could be catastrophic. What makes Jay's collection truly special isn't just the rarity of these trucks, it's the stories behind them. Each vehicle represents a moment in history when someone thought they could revolutionize transportation. The steam trucks were supposed to be cleaner than gas engines. The electric trucks were supposed to eliminate noise pollution. The compressed air truck was supposed to create zero emissions. The jet truck was supposed to make long-distance hauling faster and more efficient. All of these experiments failed for various reasons, but Jay has preserved them as monuments to human ingenuity and ambition. These trucks represent the dreams and failures of engineers who dared to think differently about transportation. Without these failed experiments, we might never have developed the successful technologies we use today. The most fascinating thing about Jay's bizarre truck collection is how it changes your perspective on modern vehicles. When you see a 1906 steam engine that weighs 13 tons and requires a full-time crew to operate, suddenly a modern pickup truck seems like a miracle of engineering. When you watch Jay struggle to start an electric truck from 1909, you realize how far we've come with electric vehicle technology. These trucks also reveal how cyclical automotive development really is. The early electric trucks from Jay's collection were solving the same problems that Tesla and other modern manufacturers are working on today. The compressed air truck was an early attempt at zero-emission transportation. Even the jet-powered truck was trying to solve efficiency problems that the trucking industry still faces today. But here's the problem that keeps Jay awake at night. These incredible machines are disappearing forever. Most of the steam engines were scrapped for metal during World War II. The early electric trucks were abandoned when gas became cheap and widely available. The experimental prototypes were destroyed when the projects were canceled. Jay's collection might contain the last working examples of entire categories of vehicles. The bigger challenge is that the knowledge to build and maintain these trucks is dying with the craftsmen who understood them. The boilermakers who knew how to work on steam engines are mostly gone. The electrical engineers who designed the early electric systems took their knowledge to the grave. Even Jay's expert mechanics are constantly learning as they work on these vehicles because there are no manuals or training programs for machines that are over 100 years old. This is where Jay's mission becomes clear. He's not just collecting bizarre trucks for the fun of it, he's preserving automotive history that would otherwise be lost forever. His team documents every repair, every modification, and every challenge they face while working on these vehicles. They're creating a database of knowledge that future generations can use to understand how these machines worked and why they were important. Jay has also started working with museums and educational institutions to share this knowledge. He brings these trucks to car shows and educational events where people can see them in action. Watching a steam engine fire up or hearing a jet-powered truck roar to life is an experience that no textbook or video can replicate. These demonstrations inspire young engineers and remind older ones about the incredible diversity of solutions that humans have tried over the years. The real magic happens when Jay fires up one of these bizarre trucks and takes it for a drive. Imagine rolling down the street in a 13-ton steam engine that sounds like a dragon and looks like a train. Picture driving a truck powered by compressed air that hisses and sighs like a mechanical whale. Think about the thrill of hearing a jet engine spool up in the back of a truck that was designed to revolutionize transportation. These moments are rare because these trucks are so difficult and dangerous to operate. But when everything works perfectly, when the steam pressure is just right, when the electric systems are functioning, when the compressed air tanks are full, these machines come alive in a way that modern vehicles never can. They're not just transportation, they're living pieces of history that connect us to the dreams and ambitions of engineers from over a century ago. Jay Leno's collection of bizarre trucks isn't just about owning weird vehicles. It's about preserving the forgotten chapters of automotive history. These steam engines, electric trucks, compressed air vehicles, and jet-powered prototypes represent the roads not taken in transportation development. They show us what might have been if different choices had been made, different technologies had been pursued, or different problems had been prioritized. The 15 most bizarre trucks in Jay's collection tell the story of human ingenuity and the willingness to try crazy ideas in pursuit of better transportation. From the 13-ton steam traction engine that almost killed him to the jet-powered prototype that sounds like a fighter plane, these vehicles represent the dreams and failures that eventually led to the cars and trucks we drive today. Most importantly, these trucks remind us that the future of transportation is still being written. The same spirit of innovation that created steam-powered trucks and compressed air vehicles is still driving engineers today to develop electric cars, hydrogen fuel cells, and autonomous vehicles. Jay's collection shows us that today's impossible ideas might become tomorrow's transportation solutions. If you want to see more incredible vehicles that most people don't know exist, check out the next video you see on the screen right now.